Hey guys, it's Micah from edeneyetarot. Today I am here to do a bit of an energy reading, a little bit of astrology. Briefly, I'm trying to figure out a good way to kind of melt the two together without it kind of becoming too long of a video. But I did want to do more of an energy reading and kind of briefly going over some of the stuff that's going on in Leo season. Since Leo season is around the corner, it's coming in a couple days. And so just to kind of get us ready for what to expect in Leo season, what kind of energy we'll be in. I did pull some cards, and I also wanted to talk about some of the astrological aspects that will really be defining a big part of Leo season. With that being said, I'm going to go over the astrology first and what I have to say about that, and then we'll get into the cards. So first thing I want to say with Leo season is that let's kind of talk about some of the defining characteristics of Leo in general by itself. Leo is the lion, of course, and so it has this draw towards leadership. It has this intensity, this boldness, this passion, right? It's a fixed energy as well. And so when we think about fixed energy, we're thinking about momentum forward, not just gaining momentum, but also, sustaining the work that's already been done and continuing to move forward. And that's, I think, a lot of times why fixed signs like Taurus and Leo and Aquarius, as well as Scorpio, get the I guess, bad reputation of being stubborn, is because of that focus, that persistence. And so when we're looking at Leo season, we're looking at some of the same themes of focus on certain themes, on focus on what we started. If cardinal energies like Cancer start things off and bring things into being, and they start the spark, then fixed signs take that spark and make it into a wildfire. And I think that's actually what we're really seeing a lot of in Leo, is a continuation of that birth. It's almost like the labor. Cancer season might be about conceiving and holding the baby in for 9 months, but I kind of look at Leo season as the actual pushing out of the baby. I guess in a little bit into Virgo season as well. The first half of Virgo season, I kind of see it as the same thing. That's just me. But when we're also looking at Leo, because it's a fixed sign, we're not only looking at sustaining or focus, we're also looking at ambition, or the need to maybe balance and moderate moderate things, or to guard against overindulgence, I think, can come up as well, because fixed signs really love to go big or go home, or sometimes even go to extremes. And so we can see a lot of that, and that's really important, especially since we will be seeing the fixed squares come into play here as well. We won't just see all of those planets, of course, Venus, not Mars, but we'll see Venus come into Leo as well eventually. But we'll see Mercury and the sun come into, and of course the moon as well, come into Leo. And it's it's one of those pileups that to me, it screams if Leo is intense, then having a pileup of those planets is really emphasizing that intensity even more so. And it's really emphasizing the lessons that Leo is trying to give. And all of that, about all of those planets coming into Leo, are eventually going to oppose Saturn. And Saturn is going to be all about restriction, or about being a bit more serious, or taking more of a structural approach, or rational approach to things, rather than maybe the opposite of what we're looking at with Leo, when Leo is more so about it can be a bit more creative and about self-expression. Because we do have to remember that Leo is, of course, ruled by the sun. And I think a good key word for the sun is energy. And it just sparks up this this kind of visual of like expressing your own energy, whether that be like how you feel, how are you feeling, are you feeling sick, are you feeling well, like, health wise, or how are you actually expressing yourself to the world? How are you saying, this is who I am? And we see a lot of the same things in Aquarius, where Saturn is currently sitting. And it brings in some interesting themes with that opposition as well, because both Aquarius and Leo are saying, this is who I am as an individual, and this is what makes me special. But they just express it in two very different ways. And so when we see that opposition, we're going to have a lot of those issues with Leo kind of being balanced off by kind of like the coolness of Aquarius. Traditionally, Aquarius was ruled by Saturn. And so we see maybe like some changing of structure or some rebellion of the individual, and individuals coming into groups and saying, this is what I stand for, this is what I love, this is what how I want to express myself, and how dare you tell me that I cannot express myself this way or try to limit me in any way, because Saturn can be about limitation, right? We'll also see squares happening other than that opposition between Leo and Aquarius. We'll also see squares with Leo and Aquarius to the North Node in Taurus, but also Mars in Taurus and Uranus in Taurus as well. So I'm just going to briefly kind of go over the energy of Taurus and like what kind of themes that'll bring in. Taurus is a Venus-ruled fixed sign. So again, it's going to bring in all that momentum. It's going to bring in themes of resources and finances and security. What do you need to feel safe? What do you need to feel like you have foundation? What do you need to feel like you have support? It does not have to all be about money. It can be about the friends that you have or the tribe that's around you, or like, do you feel like you have enough food to keep yourself sustained? I want to kind of go away from it being all about money, even though Taurus very much is about like banking and things like that. It's also about the food you eat and, how you feel that you're able to take care of yourself, and what is your self-esteem like, and all of those really important things, because at the end of the day, Venus, Taurus's ruling planet, is all about value. And so it can be about, what do you find beautiful? What do you value? How do other people value, especially with that square to Aquarius and the square to Leo? It's about like, how do other people value? Do other people value you? Do you care what they feel, what they think? All of those things are really coming in, and it can, of course, bring in some questions about, what are you spending money on? Leo loves to spend money. It's a very, I hate to use the word dramatic, but it's very extravagant, very glamorous. Whenever I think of Leo, I think, of course, the lion and its dramatic mane. But I also think of the lioness, which is the queen. She does everything. She is like the foundation that kind of keeps everything going. She's the protector, and she carries, like, she is at the top of the hierarchy when it comes to, like, I guess, like, lion society. Is a group of lions, I think, is called a pride, I do believe. I'm thinking about like Lion King and it's Pride Rock. So I think it's called a pride. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments. But that kind of theme that we see in Leo can come up as well, as like Leo almost representing the rock that is needed when everything else around it is kind of going to shit, or chaos is coming. There's this sense of chaos. Think about the time that Leo season is actually coming in. We know that summer is soon ending, but it's not over just yet. And so there's this sense of things kind of falling apart, but not quite yet. And so there is a need to kind of cling on to some, or to look towards a leader, or to look towards some sort of goal or source, some source of stability. And a lot of times, I think Leo people can find themselves in that predicament of needing to be that responsible, loyal leader, hopefully it's a leader, not a tyrant or a dictator. Whether they put themselves in that situation on their own accord and they're following their ego, or other people really need them to be that. Themes such as that come along, as well as romance is a big part of Leo. Leo is very charismatic. It draws in lots of attention. Of course, think about the sun. All the planets are literally, orbiting around the sun. It's this very like star-like quality. And so when we have Taurus, the thing that they can have in common is the need to feel good or to indulge in those senses or to want to indulge in what makes us feel good. And sometimes that can be about spending too much money and maybe needing to rework a budget or rework how we value things or rework our relationship with certain resources that are sustaining us, whether that be friends, money, or food or whatever. And then, of course, we have the South Node in Scorpio, which is all about going deep. And it's all about reflection. And it can be about our fears, crisis, and transformation, regeneration. The infinity symbol comes to mind whenever I think about Scorpio. And so when we're looking at that versus Aquarius, Leo, and Taurus, it's talking about maybe going a bit deeper into why certain values are being, held up on a pedestal, or why certain people even are being held up on a pedestal, and reevaluating or evaluating, maybe even for the first time, is that something that is helping? It doesn't need to die off, or can it be changed so that it can become new, so that it can be reborn? Scorpio also has to do with money in some sense as well. It's everything that's underneath the surface. And so it can be about mining. And so it can be about digging up things, whether that be psychologically or like finding resources under the ground that can come up as well. As well as of course, death, but Scorpio can also be about, since Pluto is one of its rulers or co-rulers, we can see that Scorpio can also be about insurance. It can be about things that are hidden, things that we hide can really be a big part of Scorpio. That's why it has such a big slant towards psychology. It can also be about power, control, and dominance, and kind of having to let go of certain things or letting go of control of certain things because it's no longer helping us. Maybe we don't need to value certain controls over things. There is a better way to word that. I just can't think of it right now. But yeah, so one thing I do really enjoy is the push with these fixed squares, even though it's really intense with fixed squares. I do really enjoy the push to regenerate or to transform when all four of these signs are activated, as they will be during Leo season. There's a push to, gain a sturdier sense of support for yourself so that you can continue to grow and move forward. While still sustaining the progress that you've made, and still in that sense being able to let go and release and purge things that no longer fit the narrative. So with that being said, let's go ahead and get into the tarot cards that I've pulled. So the first card that I actually pulled is the Queen of Pentacles. So in this deck, let me see if I can get it to focus. There we go. Is the Queen of Pentacles, which is the Mother of Earth in this deck. So the Queen of Pentacles is all about what do you need for yourself? And we were talking about that already, right? What do you need to sustain yourself? A lot of times the Queen of Pentacles as a person can be somebody that's hustling and, getting work done, and they're, managing their work life, but they're also taking care and nurturing, because queens are all about nurture, right? They have a softer sense. They're still masters of their suit, just like the king, but they have a bit of a softer, more nurturing slant to them in the tarot. And so it can be a lot about, yes, you're taking care of business at work, but you're also coming home, taking care of your parents, your children, your family, people that are important to you. You're dependable and stable, and you're there for other people to really lean on, a lot like what we were talking about with Leo. And the energies that be in Leo season. But also, if you wanted to look at this, maybe this is an earth sign in your life as well, or it could be a Leo. I don't think that, just because it's Queen of Pentacles, it has to be like an earth sign. But if you want to go with the traditional interpretation, it could be an earth sign or an older earth sign, or a matriarch that's an earth sign or has earth placements. But the big thing with the Queen of Pentacles is, yes, she's taking care of everybody else, and she's taking care of business at work, and she's financially independent and all of that great stuff. But where is the time for her? You cannot keep running and running and running and expect for your cup to kind of automatically be refilled. You have to take time to replenish it. You have to take time to pour back into yourself. Take time to do things that, like painting, or indulging in art, or because such a big part of Leo is art and self-expression, or just diving into passions as well, things that you really enjoy that make your heart happy. That is how you kind of fill your cup back up. And so the Queen of Pentacles, while she's doing all these great things for everybody else, it's really coming back to also, okay, but what is she doing for her? What are they doing for her? Because this can be a man as well. I just tend not to gender the cards, but the next card that I get is the Five of Swords. Which is interesting because we have the Five of Swords, and we also have the Seven of Swords, which honestly gives me a bit of, like, just a little bit of cringe. As we were talking about Scorpio energy when it comes to Leo season, and I think a lot of us, unfortunately, are going to find out who is not in our corner, who maybe is working behind the scenes. And kind of like smiling in our face, and really not doing, the best for us, or not in it to help others, I think could be another way that these two cards are interpreted, because the Seven of Swords is all about, at its best, it's about like someone getting away with something, or being, very strategic, and being very focused on hopes, dreams, goals, and wishes, and maybe being a bit erratic when it comes to the pursuit of that. It can be about the idealization of, or being opportunistic, or the idealization of the future and going after that, and not really having a very grounded outlook on things. It can also be just having a very immature outlook on things as well, and maybe therefore being selfish. The Five of Swords can be also about, not working with people. The kind of jumping back to the Seven of Swords really quick, the Seven of Swords can also be about changing friend groups to try and maybe figure out where you fit in, and therefore almost like flip-flopping, because it is the Moon and Aquarius card. And so it can be about like changing friendships, or jumping from tribe to tribe to tribe, and wanting to fit in with a community. But the best part of Aquarius is still wanting to fit in with community, but realizing that you are your own unique sovereign being. And I think in a weird way, that's how the Five of Swords is coming up as well, as saying, don't forget that, though. That community is important, but so is being able to stand on your own and being detached. Yes, it's good to have, power in numbers, but it's also good to just stand in your own power as well. The Five of Swords can also be about, you walking away from friends walking away from you if you don't have the same values. The Five of Swords can be a lot about, just having to take some losses, because what's coming is even better, because we do have the Six of Wands that comes in. I don't want to talk about this one just yet. I did want to bring this up, though, that this card came up, but I want to talk about the Two of Swords for a second. Hold on one second. I am so sorry. Gus, come sit. Sorry, guys. I'm dog sitting. And I have two cats, and I have a French bulldog that I am dog sitting at the moment, and he's about to go after the cat. So I had to stop him really quick. um, so the Two of Swords is going to be a card that's really talking about maybe feeling like you're stuck between a rock and a hard place, not sure what to do. It's about indecision or not wanting to see the truth because you don't want to hurt somebody else's feelings, or because you feel like there's some sort of emotional upset, like you're feeling like you can't win essentially. And so it can come into this thing of like feeling like you want to, really please everybody, but you really can't, and being therefore stuck in this hard place of not knowing what to do, or perceiving that you don't know what to do, but your intuition will always tell you what you should do and what's fair. I think a good question that you should think of when we talk about the Two of Swords is, what will it cost you? Everything costs something. But I think especially with the Two of Swords, because it's the Moon in Libra card, it's really looking out for, it's really taking a lot it's taking into consideration the needs and how we nurture others. But I think what's really important also is to not forget about the individual and what will it cost you, the decisions that you're trying to avoid possibly, or the hard place that you're in. If you err on the side of looking out for someone else and kind of forgetting about yourself, what does that cost you? So remember that, because I feel like that's a really important part of this. But also we do have the Eight of Swords as well. And so there is some trapped energy or some sort of tension, some sort of struggle. We have a lot of air energy going on here. So remember that communication is key with all of this. It's important not to overthink things, or maybe not even to overtalk things. If you had a conversation about it, there's no need to keep beating a dead horse and having the same conversation over and over and over. I think you get to see people for who they are in Leo season. And the more that you try and have conversations to like understand, even when the person has obviously shown you who they are or told you who they are, and maybe, because I've been there, just speaking personally, I think we've all been there, is like, we can oftentimes, we don't want to believe what we're hearing or seeing, even if we are communicating effectively, and the other person is communicating effectively, and we continue to have the same conversation because we want to understand. And so that, I think, will only make you feel more trapped. But remember that the Eight of Swords is literally the Jupiter and Gemini card, so it's important not to overtalk things or overthink things, and you are the only person that's in your way of success. And so power is literally within your hands, and where one ally or friendship fails, another one will be given to you, because Jupiter and Gemini, the beauty of Jupiter and Gemini, even though Jupiter and Gemini is where Jupiter is in its fall, it's still going to be, Gemini is still about friendship, because it's ruled by Mercury, and Jupiter is all about alliances. And so it can be like, where one alliance doesn't work, another one, clearing out the ones that aren't meant to fit, or pieces of the puzzle that aren't meant to fit. Another will help you along if another alliance is even what you need. You might just need your own alliance, as we see with the Six of Wands, which is about celebration, recognition. I wrote an article about this recently that was talking about how the public praises what's done in private. And yes, recognition with the Six of Wands is always great. Recognition from other people is amazing. I will never knock that. But it doesn't mean everything. You don't do things for other people, as we were talking about with Leo season. It's what fulfills you. And keeping your eye on what do you need, or what do you love, and how do you want to express yourself despite other people, is so important during Leo season. It's really going to help you get to a new level in once we get to Virgo season, because things, when we get to Virgo season, we're really looking at putting some extra work in, or like the final the final details together for what we've been working on since Cancer season. And lastly, we have the World card. And so the World card is talking about old cycles ending and new ones beginning. And so in some ways it can be about a breakthrough, but the World is Saturn's card. And so it's not all, peaches and roses, or however that saying goes. Like, it's just, but it's saying, it takes work, it takes sacrifice, it takes, being able to believe in yourself. Saturn is not, maybe it's just because I'm a Cap rising, but I mean, because I personally really love Saturn, but I know that Saturn has like a bad rap for a lot of people. But Saturn can be such an amazing planet when it does, or like such an amazing energy to really work with, when you're talking about getting some sort of long-term, very like deeply ingrained wisdom, and therefore long-term success. And so the new cycle that you're coming into is something that is not just going to be something that you've been working on for, only like a week or something, or like a month. This is something that you've been preparing yourself for your whole life, probably, or at the very least this whole year. I can't believe, like, as we're talking about this, Saturn is time, and I cannot believe that we're already coming up on we're already over halfway through the year. And it's kind of like that check-in point, and kind of wrapping certain things up, so that we can get ready for new changes to start coming in, especially as we do go into eclipse season, going into Scorpio season as well. And so that is all I have for you guys today. If you guys have any kind of questions or anything, feel free to write them in the comments. I'd love to see them. Or if this was just helpful for you, definitely let me know that in the comments as well. If you would like to book a reading with me, go ahead and click that link down in the description, and I will see you guys later. Bye.